Is a coding bootcamp worth it in 2021? Bottom line up front, yes, it is. I'm a recent graduate of one, and it's not for the reasons that most people think it's worth it. If you're thinking that you can just take a 10 to 14 week course and come out the other side and get a software engineering job for a tech company, that's probably not the case. So what I'm here to tell you is that it's worth it insofar as it arms you in your current profession or maybe a desired profession outside of software engineering. So it's a complementary skill rather than a primary skill. Although it can be that, but it takes time. You have to, if you want to be a software engineer and just write code all day, then it's going to take you probably 6 months if you're dedicated of just contributing to GitHub all the time, creating projects, to years if to get your coding to the level where employers are going to take notice of that. However, if you are in another profession, let's say you're a teacher, not every teacher can code. If you're a teacher who can teach Python, or you're a accountant who can use code, or you're a real estate agent or banker or financial advisor, coders are more rare, and that skill will be super complementary to whatever else it is that you're doing. So that's what I wanted to point out to you, is coding as a complementary skill is really valuable. Now, what do you actually get out of a coding bootcamp? It's so short that where is your skill set when you come out of that? Well, the projects you build are admittedly pretty simple compared to a professional quality program, but they're still useful. They're things that have application in real life. Like, you'll learn how to use APIs, you'll learn how to code programs that do stuff. And so that's awesome. I mean, you can just continue to build on those skills. And the thing is, the thing I learned about programming is it's not a fluency like a language. Like right now you can speak, you don't really have to think so much about the words that you're saying. With coding, I thought it was like that, but the truth is that you learn the principles, you learn what loops are, you learn what functions are, you learn what objects are, you learn how to manipulate data. And once you have those principles, then you learn the specific syntax to do those things. So the specific syntax you don't have to memorize. You just have to learn how to ask the questions. What do I need to find here to make this happen in my program? And you learn to use resources like Stack Overflow and just Google searches, and how to read the documentation for different APIs. And so the point is, programming isn't about memorizing, it's about doing, and it's about understanding the broad principles. And code boot camps get you that. They get you the baseline that you need to get started with that skill set. And then again, that skill set can be applied to any other profession, and it's tremendously valuable. Anecdotally, out of my bootcamp class, I just graduated, nobody got a software engineering job right off the bat, but there was a handful of people that were getting recruited for other things. For example, one guy had a military background, and he was getting recruited for a robotics startup to go help them with their idea. It was partially relying on his military skill set and partially relying on his coding. But if he was just a pure software engineer, they wouldn't have been interested in him. Along those lines, there was a guy who had a PhD in a particular scientific field, and by the end of the class, he had opportunities pouring out of his ears. Everyone in his particular field wanted him to work on certain projects for them. And yet another guy had a hobby that was just super niche, and there was no website for his niche, and he was creating that. He was creating the community, and already had people that were so excited about it because there was nobody filling that role yet. So that is how coding bootcamps are worth it in 2021. And it's not just limited to coding bootcamps. If you can teach yourself the coding skills, that's just as good. However you acquire it, that's just as good. So that's my thoughts on coding